Hey guys, thanks for joining. This is John from Friends with Your Benefits. Today we're going to break down some common health insurance terms that you may encounter, and really the purpose of the video is to empower you so these terms hopefully make more sense and you're able to break down that jargon to make better decisions as it relates to your health insurance and care that you may receive. So today we're going to go over what a deductible is and why it matters to you. We'll make sense of coinsurance, and then lastly, we'll explain what an out-of-pocket maximum is and why once you hit it, it's actually a benefit to you. So over here, what we have is a chart of just a common medical plan that you may encounter. So for this particular medical plan, you can see we have different numbers that are circled here in red. So if we take a look, the first thing we see is the deductible is circled in red, and there's two deductibles here. There's a single and a family deductible. So what's the difference here, John? What does it matter, and which one do I have to pay? So let's say you happen to only cover yourself, and perhaps you don't have any children, you don't have a spouse, you don't have a domestic partner, or you decided that they can be on someone else's plan. You are ultimately responsible in that example for the first $500 of medical expenses for anything that's not related to an office visit or anything that's related to pharmacy. Okay, that's great, John. What does $1,000 mean? So $1,000 happens to represent, let's say you are married, you have a domestic partner, you may have some kids, you enroll in the family version of the plan. So because you're covering more than one person, your deductible in this example is going to be $1,000. Go to the middle of the page, we take a look, and it says your coinsurance responsibility. It's listed in red at 10%. So what does that mean? So the 10% means once you've satisfied that deductible, whether it's $500 or $1,000, you're responsible for the next 10% of medical costs that come in that are related to you or your family. On the bottom, to round this out, we see the out-of-pocket maximum. We have two amounts listed here. We see the single amount listed as $1,900, and on the bottom, we see $3,800. What does this mean, John? So what this means is, let's say you're just covering yourself in this particular example. If your total deductible, copay, and coinsurance cost all add up to $1,900, you're home free, and any additional expenses that are covered by the plan result in no out-of-pocket cost or $0 copay to you. You pay nothing. The health insurance company pays everything for the rest of the year. And then similar to the deductible that we described before, let's say you happen to be enrolled in family coverage. Well, in this example here, your out-of-pocket maximum would be $3,800 since you are covering additional family members as opposed to the $1,900. Okay, so we've described some of these terms. Let's go give a real-world example what this ultimately means. So if we take a look, we have a deductible and coinsurance example. So let's say you happen to go for some outpatient surgery, and the cost from the doctor is $2,000 for that surgical visit. So $2,000 is the starting point. And let's also assume you haven't satisfied your deductible yet, and it's only yourself that you're covering on your health insurance plan. So you're responsible for the first $500 of expenses. So your liability is $500, but once that's satisfied, there's a remaining cost. So we do the $2,000 minus the $500, and there's $1,500 left over. What happens to that? So if you remember from the previous slide, you're responsible for 10% of the overall expense. So you take the $1,500 times the 10%, it equals $150. We add up the $500 and the $150, and your total liability that you owe to the surgeon in this example is going to be $650. Certainly a bit of money, but this may be important. Let's say you're planning a surgery in the future, or perhaps you already had the surgery and you get this thing called an EOB, or explanation of benefits, from your insurance company. It will break all these things down. It might not be as clean as this example, but all the information is going to be there. So again, in this example, the total amount that you have to pay would be $650. Lastly, mentioned for the out-of-pocket maximum. So really, what is it? So think of it as the worst case scenario or your maximum exposure. So it's ultimately the most amount of money that you have to pay in a particular year for deductible, copays, and coinsurance. And as I said before, after you met your additional costs are covered at a $0 copay to you. The insurance company pays everything else. And it's just important to know it's good for the rest of the plan year. So what does that mean? Is once the clock starts again, in other words, when the plan year or calendar year happens to restart, your out-of-pocket maximum, deductibles, copays, and coinsurance start fresh. So the following year, if the plan hasn't changed, you'd be responsible for, let's say, that $500 deductible again. We hope you found this video to be informative. We'd always like and we've encouraged you to subscribe to our feed by clicking the bell. Like the video if you found this video to be informative. If you have any comments, concerns, or an idea for a future video, we'd love to hear from you. Feel free to send us an email. Our email is friendswithyourbenefits@protonmail.com. Thanks for joining.